Hey there, art nerds! It is time for our 2025 holiday ornament. So this is a Papercraft DIY project. Today we're going to be making a medieval-inspired angel ornament featuring Kara from my comics 7-inch Kara. These are the materials that I used for this Papercraft, but feel free to work with whatever you have at home that you think will work for this. I am working with, this is my inspiration. It is a necklace that my aunt gave to my mom, and I really like it. I am also using Winsor & Newton's gold ink. I am using masking fluid for this. I am using, so this is what the final piece will look like. So it has a little hint of metallicness to it, kind of with those medieval vibes. This was my thumbnail sketch, my initial idea, and this was inspired by 70s medieval revival and the Ben Gibbs dress, and I'll try to make sure I put reference in for you guys. I am working on Canson XL watercolor paper. I inked it with a Sakura Pigma FB brush pen. I am working with the Vinci mixing set of watercolors. This is a, I think, 10 or maybe 12 color watercolor set. I am also working with fine tech metallic watercolors, but you can work with whatever watercolors, whatever materials you like to work with. I am using this beautiful bird ceramic palette that I talked about last year in one of my gift guides. I'm using lots of different cutting implements. I really recommend you go with sharp, pointed, fussy cutting scissors, not these garbage scissors that I have here. Double stick tape. I'm also using Tombow aqua glue, although I do not recommend it and is not my favorite. And we're also going to want some ribbon to hang our ornament with. I am going to have a printable, both of the line art if you just want to color along, as well as the color version down in the description below. So here we are back at the start. This is a start to finish tutorial. So I'm going to walk you through the sketching, the inking, the watercolor, the cutting, and the assembly for this project, although not in particular detail. If you're looking for more Papercraft projects, make sure you check out my Papercraftmas playlist down in the description below. Here are a couple of the Papercraft ornaments that I've done in years past. So if you think these designs are cute and you would like to work on these, check that playlist that I just mentioned. Not only do I have ornaments, but I also have 2.5D standee kind of things. This is a really fun project that you can do with younger artists. They can design their own ornaments to add to the tree. So working from my thumbnail sketch, which is basically just the concept that I wanted, I sketch very lightly with my mechanical pencil. I want her to not actually look like she's from the medieval era, but rather like medieval revival. So it's kind of a specific thing. I've been spending too much time on Pinterest and living in La La Ren Fair land, but hey, it's fun here. So I start out by sketching the basic constructive anatomy of my character. If you're looking for tutorials on constructive anatomy, I have a bunch of tutorials on how to draw people, how to draw cartoony people, how to draw everything here on the channel. I'll try to make sure I link those for you guys, but I go in more depth in those tutorials than I'm able to here because this video has been sped up by 8x in order to keep the runtime a little bit lower. Some of you guys have requested that I do shorter videos. I would love to do that. I'm working my way there. But for something like this, I do want to show the entirety of the process, since I think a lot of people who are interested in art benefit from seeing other people's processes. I sure love seeing other people's processes myself. So she is holding a large golden like straight horn, and from it is a 2025 banner. She has a halo going around her head, sort of mandala style, the way in illuminated manuscripts they would draw halos around saints and around angels. Her wings are heavily inspired by illuminated manuscripts and by medieval mosaics. So that's kind of where I'm mixing that in. So once I have the sketch to my liking, I'm going to go ahead and refine the details in pencil. I am going to ink this later. A lot of this refinement is mostly so you guys can see what I'm doing. It can be hard for the camera to pick up what's going on when I sketch too lightly. So a lot of times when I go back and I refine things, it's for the camera, not necessarily because I really need them, but it does give me a chance to go back and solidify some details and to change a few things and to think about things and to make it a little bit easier for future me to be able to work on this project. A lot of the times when I'm recording art videos, it's after the end of a very long day, where I may have been going to doctor's visits, or I may be helping family out, or I might be working. As an artist in 2025, I don't have a job. I have a series of jobs that I am always kind of hustling and grinding. It's a lot of work and it can be really tiring. So anything I can do to make my art more successful in terms of process, to make it easier for you guys to see, to make it easier for me to pick up from where I left off, is going to be something that is appealing to me. And I want to remind you guys, you are totally welcome to put your own spin on this. If you like the idea of doing an angel, you are very welcome to do that. You are very welcome to do your own Lilliputian / tiny person medieval revival angel. In fact, if you do, I would love to see it. Please, please, please show me. I would love to see it. That's like my jam right now. Please send it to me. I want to see. If you want to just print out the line art when it's finished and relax and color it, you're very welcome to do that. If you want to print out the color version because you just like my art and you want to have some of my art on your tree, you're very welcome to do that as well. Whatever stage you're at, whatever you feel up to doing, I encourage you to do it, and I would love to see it. So this is where I pulled out both the necklace as well as a bracelet I have that has kind of the vibes that I'm going for. And I gave her kind of a low slung belt so that I could work some of those jewel tones in and have another opportunity to work sort of metallicness into it. And I sent myself the reference that I wanted to work from on my Discord. So I found what I was kind of looking for and I sent it to myself. So that's up on my computer screen. I'll try to remember to put that in for you guys so you guys can see the references that I'm working from. It's more for inspiration than working directly from it. But, you know, I like to work from reference. I like to pull inspiration from a variety of sources, and I have no problem admitting working from reference and working from other inspirations, particularly other artists. So once I finished penciling it, I am inking it with a Sakura Pigma FB. This is an alcohol marker and water safe brush pen. If you wanted to do colored inks for this, that could be really cute. And if you want to use a brush pen for that, I would recommend the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pens. I've talked about those a lot here on the channel in the past, particularly when I'm doing alcohol marker work. So if you're doing your own and you want to do a colored line art and you want the line art to kind of disappear into your colors, the Tombow Fudenosuke is a great way to do that. You could also just print the line art out as blue lines, pencil that, do my little magic blue line technique, and make those blue lines disappear and watercolor on top of it and have a completely lineless or to your liking lined ornament. It really, there's a lot of different ways that you could do this. I am kind of a creature habit. I've done my Kara ornaments, my yearly Kara ornaments in the same kind of format. I've used the same kind of process over several years. So I'm just going to continue with that, but there's no reason for you not to think out of the box and to try something different. Also, I kept the embellishments on this one fairly minimal. I have some Papercraft designs where I bring in fake foliage and I bring in bells and I bring in ribbons, and I even have like action elements where they do things. So if you find inspiration in this, if you want to, like, I don't know, maybe rig a little sound box to play a little horn noise or whatever to your ornament, again, please feel free to do so. I'd love to hear all about it in the comments. I take a lot of inspiration from you guys. Once she is inked, I let her dry, let the ink cure completely, and then I erase the graphite and I scan this. So again, this will be down in the description. It'll be on my Patreon, but it'll be set to free. I like to share free Christmas printables and activities this time of year to encourage more people to make art and to make art with their family. So check the description below. It should be free to everybody. I decided to watercolor this and I wanted to work with a limited color palette for this. Again, you can use whatever, color pencils, crayons, markers, whatever, acrylic markers if you want to, whatever medium you're comfortable with and you enjoy, go for it. I'm using watercolor because it's fast for me and it's fairly economical, and also because I enjoy having all my little ornaments that I've made match. I'm gonna use a little bit of masking fluid to mask off the beads in her hair and to also mask off her belt. It'll make painting her dress a little bit easier. I'm using Vinci watercolors today. These are made in the US. Usually when I do these kind of paper crafts, I like to use my core palette, and that has disappeared and I cannot find it for the life of me. It might be time to get a new one. I like both palettes a lot. Both are made by US based companies, so they're employing Americans to make their watercolors, which, you know, as an artist based in the US, I like that. I support the art companies that theoretically might support me in return. They definitely support my my addiction to art supplies, so I'll give them that. But it's a palette that I like, and yeah, I would recommend it. And I've done a few reviews on both the core and the Da Vinci if you guys are curious about these watercolors, or just looking for more art that I've done. I'm going to keep the style fairly simple. It's not as complicated as I do for like my standalone watercolor illustrations that I would do on a cotton rag paper. It's more limited in terms of layers. It's really designed to work well on cellulose papers like this one. And I think I'm just gonna let you guys relax and enjoy the watercolor. If you guys are looking for tutorials on how I watercolor or how I handle cheaper papers like this, check the description below. I'll have some for you if you're looking for some more start to finish art projects. I will link that in the description for you guys as well. I also have another Papercraft project coming up where I do a gingerbread house from craft paper. It's like a card with a pop-up gingerbread person. It is super cute. It's inspired by the card tutorial that I shared recently. I think it was like last Tuesday. So I do try to do, you know, some fun seasonal projects to get you guys making art, keep you guys inspired, and to maybe get you to make some art with your family if you happen to have time off. Hopefully using art supplies that you already have or are fairly inexpensive. And then I have another start to finish, from sketch to finish watercolor tutorial coming up for this holiday season for you guys as well. So if you enjoy my tutorials and you enjoy making art with me, December is full of that. And then in January, I think I'm going to keep it very simple. I have some relaxing, somewhat longer form, no talking watercolor time-lapse videos that I plan on sharing in January. So I know everybody's on a budget right now. We're all on a financial crunch. And while historically my tutorials are what brings people to the channel, it isn't what keeps people here on the channel. So if you like what I do, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification so that you can join my community. If you want to talk about art with other artists or other art lovers, you can join my art-centric Discord server, The Paint Box. I'll try to remember to put a link for you guys down in the description. But I hope you guys enjoy watching the watercolor and listening to the music. So once my watercolor fully dried, I decided I wanted to add some metallic accents. The scan is of the watercolor without the metallic because metallic scans very poorly. It can actually affect how your scanner reads color. This is, as with anything here, this is completely optional. You do not have to do this step, but since I was going for a medieval revival vibe, I wanted to bring in those golds and those jewel tones. Also kind of inspired by like jacquard ribbons and kind of inspired by a metallic marker review I did recently. So actually, if you have metallic acrylic markers, this might be fun to bring them in and use those for accents as well. I'm using Finetec for this. It's partially because I already have it and the colors worked well. And I'm also using Winsor Newton Gold ink, again, because I already have it and because the color works well, but it's also one of my favorite gold inks for like really nice gold accents. So I'm just kind of glazing my metallics on top of my watercolor. Now, since the metallics knocked down some of the color that I'd built up, some of the depth that I'd built up, and you might want to leave it with this kind of flat, gilded look. I wanted to work some of that nuance and shadow back in. So I am going to kind of overpaint shadows with watercolor in some areas, just to kind of bring some of that nuance back in. Because the metallics obscured the line art and made it look a little bit muddy, I allowed what I did to dry, and then I'm re-inking it in areas using my Sakura Pigma FB. This is also a totally optional step. You don't have to do this. finally, I wanted to add some highlights, so I'm using some white gouache to add some white highlights here and there. So this is the completed watercolor. I let it dry out completely, totally, and fully before I started cutting it out from the paper. And I also scanned it at this stage as well, but I'm not as satisfied with that scan. So if you're doing the printables, what you will have access to is the watercolor before I added the metallics. And if you want to, you can use gel pens to add your own metallic accents to the printed colorable one or printed colored version. I think that would look really cute. So there is a close-up of what it looks like. Now I'm going to remove my masking tape from the edges, and we can get to work with assembling the Papercraft. So for the Papercraft, this one is a pretty simple one. Your materials are pretty simple. First of all, we're going to want to trim the excess from around this, and I use a paper cutter to trim the edges around her so that I can get these really nice straight cuts. It's easier to do, it's easier on my hand, and also I'm going to save these scraps because I'm going to use these to reinforce it. I'm also going to rough cut the excess paper from around her to make this easier. So some well-meaning, kind-hearted soul put my brand new Westcott fussy cutting scissors into the scissor bin at the library, and I think I will never get those scissors again, and they were brand new. So I had to reorder some, and I am so sad about that. So I'm rolling with some really old, like from when I was in 7th grade, awful scissors that have seen too much life. I would really recommend going with some nice sharp scissors that you primarily just use for paper, because there's a lot of fussy cutting and finesse cutting, and terrible scissors are gonna just wreck your hand. I cut all that, so you guys don't have to see me suffer like that. I also used an X-Acto blade to get into those little islands and to trim it. So now that we have it cut, and you could do a halo cut where you leave some paper around it, or you can do a fussy cut like this and get right up to the edges. Also, if you have a Cricut or another cutting machine, that could be perfect for doing this and making it so much easier for you. So I have some nice velvet ribbon that I picked up on sale at Michael's in this beautiful teal color. And I went ahead and I cut a length. It's about 5 inches folded, so about 10 inches long. Here's where I made my mistake. I used Tombow Aqua to glue this. Do not. This is supposed to be a paper crafting glue. It has been the bane of my paper crafts. That's how you know they don't sponsor me. Well, I would say that anyway, even if they did, but they might not like it. Now, this video is brought to you by me and my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you guys. Anyway, the water in the glue reactivated the paint in this. So I would actually recommend using maybe a dot of hot glue, or maybe some fabric glue, or maybe some tacky glue if you have the kind that will dry totally. A little bit of Mod Podge, just not this. Even Elmer's would work well for this. I'm going to use my double stick tape, and I already cut one of my pieces of watercolor paper. That's what we trimmed from around the edges. And I'm going to apply my double stick tape to the whole part. I know it's hard to see, but to the whole like reinforcement paper. And I'm going to press it really hard against the ornament because this is going to add a little extra structural support. You could also laminate this ornament, and that would make it hold up better, and would certainly make it more pet friendly. Speaking of pet friendly though, I have some shatterproof acrylic ornaments in my shop. So if you like my art, you want my art on your Christmas tree, and don't feel like doing all this, you can find my ornaments at nettasoup.com/shop. They are super thick, and they were printed and cut in the US by Pinocchio. So I'm just reinforcing a couple of areas with a little extra paper to give her a little extra stability, trimming it. Sometimes I'll add extra paper to the legs, but I've noticed with these hanging ornaments that just hang, there's no pressure on the legs, so there's no reason to really reinforce the legs unless you got kids and they can be kind of rough. Then you might want to reinforce them. And I'm using a Chinese paperweight just to kind of weigh down the glue to make sure we get a good seal. But yeah, no, not really a big fan of this. It says it's good for paper and paper crafts. And I have to disagree. Tombow, not one for me. Not a fan of this one. So here is our ornament. I'm gonna fix that area that got like re-wetted and then it like the paint came off. If I hadn't used that glue, that would not have been a problem. So you probably will not have to take this step. And now all that is left is, I'm gonna actually repaint the shadow on the halo as well, since that got messed up and I want it to be cohesive, and also I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So I'm gonna fix that up as well. You don't have to. But now we have our finished 2025 Papercraft ornament to hang on our tree. Of course, it's not finished until it's on the tree. So this is what my Christmas tree looks like. Hey guys. So it is full of my acrylic ornaments and handmade ornaments and Papercraft ornaments and ornaments that I've bought from other people and ornaments that I've painted in past years and stuff from World Market. I love being able to buy ornaments from other people, like that ceramic acorn there. And here is our Papercraft. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm wishing you a safe, happy, and warm holiday season, however you choose to celebrate it or to not celebrate it. I want to thank my patrons for making videos like this possible and for all of their support in 2025. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.